before we get going, I forgot to tell you last time that I have an email address now that you can send for questions, comments, tell me I'm doing great, tell me I stink, whatever. It's oldmangrognard@gmail.com. It'll be on the end title when you see the end of this. I also want to give another shout out to the Barrel Rider Games class compendium for Labyrinth Lord. They're in, as of this recording, it's 23 days. And they're getting there. They're about 2/3 there on their goal. So if you want to take a look at that, just go to Indiegogo and look for Barrel Rider Games or Class Compendium for Labyrinth Lord, or you just click on the link when I post this. I'll put it up there on the post. Anyway, I want to talk about kit bashing games, kit bashing adventures, kit bashing genres. I've done it before. It's fun. I have a few like peccadillos where I can get to be a real genre Nazi on it. Is like, for instance, a lot of people don't like black powder or firearms in D&D. I don't like sci-fi in D&D. I don't. I mean, barrier peaks, fine, whatever. But my normal D&D, I don't want sci-fi in it. But I do have exceptions. Like, for instance, if I was running a D&D game of Carcosa, that kind of fits the kind of gonzo quasi-gamma world mutant future type milieu, new word, milieu for it. And it works, and it works for me. But as far as blending genres goes, like, for instance, in my brief time I ran GURPS Fantasy, I got about 3 to 5 sessions out of the movie. I mean, because, GMs are inspired by anything they see. People they meet, movies they see, TV shows they see, news items, what they read in the paper, what they read online, all that kind of stuff. You're supposed to expose yourself to that to get ideas. But I got about 5 sessions out of the movie Rio Bravo. And because I just took the basic plot and moved it over to fantasy, and it worked. It really worked. Another time, I briefly worked for Artels Orion as a layout guy. And when I got there, they were in the middle of, I mean, they did the Cyberpunk and the Mectons. They were in the middle of producing this, Dream Park. Oh my goodness, this is a great game. This is a fun game. Not only is it a good universal game, but it's got so much crunch in it, you can blend genres real easy. And it also taught me how to write adventures, which we'll get to in another episode. But thank you, Mike Pondsmith. I kind of got on your wavelength now, so I understand what you're doing. They did like modules, like there was one module where it was an Arabian Nights adventure and it ended up in outer space, and the genie ended up being a robot. Things like that. I also wrote a couple of demo games for them for cons. One, I took a straight up, parodying Japanese monster movies and Power Rangers. And I blended, and I had all the guys there. Like, they had a security, was this Toshiro Mifune samurai guy. I had the 5 young kids who were pilots helping the scientists who came up with all these vehicles, which combined into a giant mecha. I had the little tiny kid who tried to be friends with the giant monster, who was this guy who basically grew 100 feet tall and started attacking Tokyo. He turned into like an ant monster, or a bee monster or something. He's attacking Tokyo Tower, and people running around like extras. But I combined that with Ghostbusters, because what was causing all these problems were the multinational company that hired the Ghostbusters. Their plant and their research facility happened to be on the sacred grounds of samurai and shogun burial grounds, and the ghosts started coming back, to cause trouble. So it was really interesting. Another one I did, which doesn't seem all that innovative now, but I took cyberpunk and gothic horror, mixed them together. Worked real good. But anyway, like I said, this game taught me how to kind of blend things. The way you want to do it is you want to think about, first of all, if you have a specific plot for a genre that you've seen that you want to try and transfer somewhere else, think about the whole plot. Think about how you can transfer that to another genre. Just basically take the skeleton of it and see if it'll work somewhere else. My friend Full On Gamer, he took the demiplane of Ravenloft and put it in Spelljammer, put it on a planet. It was not a demiplane, it was a planet that people could actually spelljam to. In fact, I even believe he even you get close to, the planet, these mists envelop you, and there you are in Ravenloft. Anyway, but that's, he took what works and just did something else with it. Like my Rio Bravo game. Okay, main plot is the sheriff and his deputies got to protect this guy who shot another guy. They're waiting for the marshal to come through so he can take him to court. Well, in the meantime, his rich brother and all his, minions or part of his gang, are trying to break him out. So basically, we have a siege situation. I'm going, yeah, siege. That works great in fantasy. I just made the outlaw the brother of this high-ranking priest, or no, it was a mage, this high-ranking necromantic mage. And instead of cowpokes trying to take these guys out, I had undead at them, and I threw golems at them, I threw ogres at them, all the time trying to, and they had to go out once in a while because they had to figure out a way to get out, to get food and stuff. And it wasn't your classic siege situation where you just starve them out, but and I had to figure out how to deal with that, how they can sneak around to get all this stuff. And they were throwing magic at it, and we had a mage on the inside working with them, and I made the Walter Brennan character a real grumpy dwarf, which kind of fits, but I took the basics, I took the bones, and just redressed them. That's what you want to do. Take the bones and redress them. You just start thinking you can break a story down. You can break a genre down. Okay, what is this genre all about? And how could I adapt it to? What are the tropes? New word, tropes. Tropes and cliches. What are the tropes and cliches of the genre? And how can I kind of sort of fit it into something else and still make it work? So that's my kind of jumbled way of blending genres. I mean, I had another one where I'm still working on this, where I want to do a Star Wars-ish game, only have it take place on maybe one, maybe two planets in a system, and combine it with Smoking the Bandit or Dukes of Hazzard, where they have these, they have the law, and they're trying to keep the guys, basically the revenuers, they're the law, and people who are making this exotic liquor or beer, whatever, it's basically not rum runners, but I mean, it's moonshiners, moonshiners in space is what it is. And, if you ever seen go watch the old Robert Mitchum movie, Thunder Road. You'll get exactly what I'm talking about. Or an old episode Dukes of Hazzard, or even Smoking the Bandit. You'll understand what I'm saying. They're trying to get stuff from one place to another without getting caught. And that'll work in any genre pretty much. Anyway, that's what I've got for blending genres and sort of kit bashing genres. So next time we'll see what we can talk about. And thanks for listening. Bye-bye.